Wisdom Sutra. The complete title is The Gone to the Other Shore Wisdom Sutra. Part 1. The text. Wisdom Sutra. When the Bodhisattva of Avalokita was engaged in the practice of the deep gone to the other shore wisdom, he saw all 5 skandhas are empty and overcame all suffering. Here, Sariputra, form is emptiness, emptiness is form. Form is no other than emptiness, emptiness is no other than form. The same is true of feeling, perception, formations, and consciousness. Here, Sariputra, all things are marked with emptiness, they are neither born nor destroyed, neither defiled, nor immaculate, neither increasing nor decreasing. Therefore in emptiness there is no form, there is no feeling, no perception, no formations, no consciousness, there is no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, there is no color, no sound, no smell, no taste, no touch, no object, no realm of vision, and so forth. Till we come to no realm of consciousness, there is no ignorance, and no end of it, there is no aging, no death, and no end of them, there is no suffering, no origination, no extinction, no path, there is no wisdom, no attainment. Because there is no attainment, the mind of the Bodhisattva, who dwells upon the gone to the other shore wisdom, finds no obstacles. Without obstacles, he overcomes fear, goes far away from delusion and reaches nirvana. All the Buddhas of the past, present and future, dwelling upon the gone to the other shore wisdom, arrive at the supreme perfect enlightenment. Therefore, one should know that the gone to the other shore wisdom is the great mantra, the highest mantra, the unequaled mantra, the destroyer of all suffering, the truth without falsehood. The mantra of the gone to the other shore wisdom runs, gone, gone, gone to the other shore, landed on the other shore, perfect enlightenment. Part 2. Interpretation. The gone to the other shore. Wisdom Sutra. The twofold. Speaking of human knowledge, there is a truth that always happens to man. We see a thing, for example a bridge. In our side of the bridge there are 2 sights taking place at the same time, the sight of material, matter, or wood and the sight of something other than wood. If we say that there is the sight of wood or material, everyone will agree with us. But if we say that there is the sight of something other than material or wood, we can raise a question in a lot of people. Besides wood, is there something else in the bridge? But if we think a little, we will find out that it is also wood. Why is it at another place a table or a house, and not a bridge? So, the bridge needs something other than wood that makes that wood be a bridge and not a table or a house. So, in the bridge there are 2 realities, wood or material and non-material. The findings of Husserl and Heidegger reveal 2 important points. The first point, non-material appears only in material. Although it is different from material, non-material does not appear outside material. Therefore, we can say that material is the foundation of the appearance of non-material. As human beings, we see non-material only in our sight of material. In the bridge there is something other than wood, but we see this something other only in wood. This something other plus wood make the bridge. The second point, this non-material is not material, nor is it found as a quality of man or, philosophically speaking, the subject. Non-material surpasses the subject. If we understand the subject as mind, non-material surpasses mind. Non-material is not mind, spirit, but it is within mind or, more correctly speaking, it is when its voice is responded in and by mind. In other words, if there is no mind, there is no non-material. In the summary of the first and second points we have, non-material, even though it is neither material nor mind, needs material and mind in order to appear. But such a saying can cause the following mistake: non-material is something outside man, but it needs man and material as places of its appearance. The fact is not so. Behind the appearance of non-material there is nothing else. Non-material is only as it appears. We can compare it to a stone. A stone is in the garden, whether we see it or not, it is there, but there is non-material outside our view. That truth appears daily to everyone. But man carries in himself this sin: he sees material only and forgets non-material. That is the hereditary sin rooting in the human condition. Man lives, in his human condition, in the sin. This sin is also called fallenness. Fallenness is forgetting non-material. This fallenness is also called ignorance. Ignorance is knowledge of material alone. The sages like the Buddha, Lao Tzu, Confucius, and Jesus are not ignorant, they see that truth. The Gone to the Other Shore Wisdom Sutra. 1. Gone to the other shore. The other shore is the opposite of this shore. So, what is the other and what is this? We have said that in the appearance of the bridge there is the appearance of two different realities, wood or material and something other than wood or non-material. This shore is the realm of material and the other shore is the realm of non-material. Gone to the other shore is leaving the realm of material and entering the realm of non-material. 2. Wisdom. Wisdom is pure knowledge. Pure is not mixed with earthly dust or material. Pure knowledge is knowledge not of material, but of non-material. Gone to the other shore describes the essential characteristic of pure knowledge. Wisdom is the knowledge of the non-material realm. Wisdom is also brilliant knowledge. Knowledge of non-material is brilliant knowledge. Brilliant is also called wise. A man who knows non-material is a wise man or a sage. The Gone to the Other Shore Sutra is the sutra about the knowledge of non-material, the knowledge that leaves the realm of material and enters the realm of non-material. The title The Gone to the Other Shore Sutra expresses two different domains or two different realities, material and non-material. We can use the word twofold to indicate the fact that in the appearance of the bridge there is the simultaneous appearance of two realities, material and non-material. The bridge is one thing that contains two realities, wood and non-wood. The bridge is one thing that contains two shores, this shore and the other shore. The bridge is the twofold of two different realities. The Gone to the Other Shore Sutra lives or moves in that twofold. 3. The Heart Sutra. The word heart sometimes replaces wisdom, and so we have the Gone to the Other Shore Heart Sutra. Heart indicates the heart or mind that leaves the realm of material and enters the realm of non-material. Non-material can be called emptiness or nothing, nothingness. When the Bodhisattva Avalokita was engaged in the practice of the deep Gone to the Other Shore wisdom, he saw all five skandhas are empty and overcame all suffering. 1. The Bodhisattva Avalokita. A Bodhisattva is a person who attained the Buddha's way. The Buddha himself is a Bodhisattva. A Bodhisattva has attained the way, but he does not enter the Buddha's kingdom, he still stays in this world to save sentient beings. The Bodhisattva Avalokita is the name of a Bodhisattva who is named the God or Goddess of Mercy. The Bodhisattva Avalokita also is the Bodhisattva of Compassion. He has gone to the other shore of no more suffering and, because of his compassion, wants to direct all living beings to go with him. In this sutra, the Bodhisattva Avalokita plays the role of the Buddha, represents the Buddha. 2. Deep. Deep is contrary to shallow, superficial, seeing only the outside, the surface. Seeing that wood makes a bridge is shallow, superficial, seeing only the outside, the surface. 3. All 5 skandhas are empty. In the wooden bridge there are wood and non-wood. But we daily think that wood makes the bridge. The Bodhisattva Avalokita sees that if we think that wood makes the bridge, we are wrong or ignorant. Wood can be a table, a house, or a cane. So, the other than wood makes wood be the bridge. The body does not make a man, for example the Buddha. The other than body makes the Buddha. The 5 skandhas, or aggregates, are form, feeling, perception, formations, and consciousness. Standing on this shore, we can say that a person is said to be composed of the 5 skandhas and nothing else. Form indicates thing, material, material world. So, form here has a special meaning. The 4 basic elements are earth, water, fire, and air. In man form is the body that includes flesh, bone, blood, and so forth. By senses there is contact with material. Feeling is knowledge by senses. There are 6 senses: eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and mind. Feeling is also pleasant feeling, unpleasant feeling, or neither pleasant nor unpleasant, indifferent feeling. There is the effect of the contact with material. There are 6 classes of feeling: feeling of colors, sounds, smells, tastes, touches, and objects. Perception is knowledge by thinking, thought. It makes a sign so that it does not need an object for the next perceptions. There are 6 classes of perception: perception of colors, sounds, smells, tastes, touches, and objects. Formations are knowledge in forms. They have the characteristic of forming and of accumulating. They form the formed. They are manifested in activities. They are all mental activities, except 2 activities called feeling and perception. Therefore, formations are also called mental formations. Volition plays a very important role in them. Therefore, they are also called volitional formations. They comprise all good and bad actions. The volitional formations in our daily life relate to karma. An action is not considered as karma if that action is void of volition. There are also 6 classes of formations: formations directed to colors, sounds, smells, tastes, touches, and objects. Consciousness is knowledge in mind. It has many kinds of knowledge. Feeling, perception, and formations are also kinds of knowledge. So, consciousness here can be said to indicate the kinds of knowledge other than feeling, perception, and formations. There are also 6 classes of consciousness: consciousness of colors, sounds, smells, tastes, touches, and objects. About feeling, perception, formations, and consciousness, we can make some further remarks. Feeling is sensible knowledge. It is the most concrete. Perception is less concrete thought. Formations are knowledge of actions in a less concrete way. Consciousness is knowledge in the most abstract way. But even though they are different, they are manners of knowledge of material or form and mental objects, derived from material. Mental objects are thoughts and ideas. All of them belong to what is called this shore, this world, the material world. According to the Bodhisattva Avalokita, form, material, and the manners of knowing form and mental objects are emptiness. That means that he has gone to the other shore, he has entered into the realm of non-material, he has practiced the deep gone to the other shore wisdom. He has reached the knowledge that material, wood, does not make a thing, bridge. 4. Overcoming all suffering. In the material world there is suffering, and in the non-material world there is no suffering. Why is this so? Because it is so. Let each of us experience that if we do not attach ourselves to the material world, we will suffer or not. If we attach ourselves less to the material world, we will suffer less or not. In the Four Noble Truths, the Buddha teaches suffering, the origin of suffering, the cessation of suffering and the road to the cessation of suffering. On this shore is suffering, due to sensual desire, a man attaches to this shore, cutting off the desire is the cessation of suffering, and the road to the cutting off desire is the Eightfold Way. The main question is how to see and enter the realm of non-material. There is a path. It is the Noble Eightfold Path: right view, right intention, thought, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration. The main point of this Noble Eightfold Path is leaving the realm of material and entering the realm of non-material. So where is this realm of non-material? We have said that in the appearance of a thing, bridge, are the appearance of material, wood, and the appearance of non-material. The appearance is the appearance to man. Mind is the name of man in his reception of the appearance of a thing. If mind indicates the reception of the appearance of a thing, non-material is found in mind. The Buddhist thought talks a lot about mind. Here we only want to take note that mind is the place of the appearance of non-material, but mind does not create non-material and is not non-material. The Noble Eightfold Path leads to leaving the realm of material and entering the realm of non-material. Everyday mind is the mind attached to material, and so the mind of ignorance, and the mind leaving material and entering non-material is the enlightened mind. Let us take an example. The mind attached to material is the mind that sees man as a laboring or producing animal, and the mind entering into non-material or enlightened mind is the mind that sees man as a holy animal. The ignorant mind does not see true things, and the enlightened mind see true things. Enlightenment does not indicate an afterlife in nirvana. Enlightenment helps us to see true things in which we are living now. When we see true things, there are no more lying and war, but only justice and peace. There is no more hell but only nirvana. The fact is so. Whoever has gone to the other shore sees so. Here, Sariputra, form is emptiness, emptiness is form. Form is no other than emptiness, emptiness is no other than form. The same is true of feeling, perception, formations, and consciousness. 1. Sariputra. Sariputra is one of the main disciples of the Buddha. He is the representative of each of us in this sutra. A lot of sutras were written as dialogues between the Buddha and a representative. 2. Form is emptiness, emptiness is form. Form is no other than emptiness, emptiness is no other than form. The word form has two meanings, thing and material. Because we daily understand thing is material, we think form has only one meaning. In form as material, there is of course only material. But in form as, for example, bridge, there are material, wood, and non-material. The word emptiness has also two meanings, emptiness as empty, void, there is nothing, and emptiness as non-material. For a materialist eye, non-material is empty, void, there is nothing. But for the Bodhisattva Avalokya, non-material on the other shore is the very reality. So the saying form is emptiness has two meanings. The first meaning, form or material, wood, is empty. The form or material is nothing in the making of a thing, bridge. For a person who has gone to the other shore like the Bodhisattva Avalokya, wood does not make a bridge, but something other than wood makes a bridge. Regarding the making of or the giving birth to the bridge, wood is empty or unimportant. But such saying is not saying that empty indicates the fact that wood is elusive, in the meaning that wood will vanish in the future. Empty here means that in the making of the bridge wood does not play the main role, as we ignorantly think every day. Wood is not elusive, wood is real. The material world is real. We cannot deny the existence of the material world. But wood does not make the bridge. The Bodhisattva of Alakya has gone to the other shore and sees that non-wood makes the bridge. He wants to tell ordinary persons to know that it is not wood that makes the bridge, that in the making of the bridge wood is empty. We should take note that people usually interpret that he talks about the elusiveness, vanishing, of wood. The material world is an illusion, like a flower blossoming in the morning and fading in the evening. The Buddha teaches us to look for something everlasting. People do not know empty, elusive in the meaning of inessential in the making of a thing, especially when this thing is a man. Jesus says that man does not live by bread alone, man lives by something else, every word that proceeds from the mouth of God. Living means being a true man. This shore is material, and the other shore is non-material. In order to be a true man, one must know the other shore. We will not go to the other shore when life goes out. Right now, right in this world, if we want to be true men, we must reach the other shore. This shore is illusion because it does not make man be true man, the other shore is truth because it makes man be true man. Therefore elusive and true do not speak of ephemeral and eternal, but of inauthentic and authentic. We should take note that the interpretation that thing, material, is ephemeral is a usual tendency. People often interpret that the Buddha sees the ephemerality of things and looks for something everlasting. Nirvana is the everlasting sphere, and this world is the ephemeral sphere. Things are made by cause and effect relationship and will vanish by cause and effect relationship. People also use the knowledge of modern physics to prove the ephemerality of things. For the Buddha, material, wood, whether it is ephemeral or not, does not make a thing, bridge. We do not need to prove that wood is ephemeral in order to be able to say that it does not make the bridge. Even if wood is real, it does not make the bridge. And indeed, we have to say that wood is real, and it must be real so that it can be the place of the appearance of non-material or nothingness, and then nothingness and would make the bridge. So, nothingness is a name of non-material or emptiness. An ordinary person thinks that wood makes the bridge. The Buddha sees that nothingness and would make the bridge, with nothingness as the main part. The Buddha does not see that nothingness alone makes the bridge. The second meaning, nothingness is reality, nothingness is not empty. Form or thing, bridge, in its essence is nothingness or non-material, not material or wood. In a thing is non-material, a thing must be the place of the appearance of non-material so that it can be a thing. If it is so, in order to understand the saying form is emptiness, we must see the twofold in a thing. A thing is a combination of material and non-material. There is only one thing, but there are two realities. These two realities accompany each other to make a thing, however, they are still two different realities and do not become one. Non-material is not material, nor does it give birth to material, and material is not non-material, nor does it give birth to non-material. So, the saying form is emptiness does not say that material and non-material are one. However, that material and non-material are one is a usual interpretation. The reason why there is this interpretation is that they do not know the twofold. They often interpret that nothingness is the absolute and is total reality, including material. They do not see that nothingness makes all things, but it does not make material. Benevolence makes Confucius, but it does not make the body of Confucius. We have the saying, form is emptiness, emptiness is form. Form is no other than emptiness, emptiness is no other than form. We have just talked about two meanings of form and emptiness. How can we apply those meanings in each part of the saying? We propose as follows: Form equals material, wood, is emptiness equals null, emptiness equals non-material is form equals thing, bridge. Form equals material, wood, is no other than emptiness equals null, emptiness equals non-material is no other than form equals thing, bridge. Form equals material, wood, is emptiness equals null, emptiness equals non-material is form equals thing, bridge. If we understand form and emptiness with a different meaning for each place, we will avoid the repetition of the same meaning from the first part to the second part of the sentence. There is the opinion that it is difficult to think that in such a concise sutra of about 200 words the same meaning is repeated in the same sentence. We can explain more as follows. After saying that material is not the main element that makes a thing, the Bodhisattva Avalokya stands before this question: if material does not make a thing, what makes a thing? He must answer this question. And he replies right away, because he has gone to the other shore. Non-material, nothingness, is what makes a thing, form. The Bodhisattva Avalokya does not use the words material and thing as we do. That happens because he does not put the question of the twofold. This is the reason why his saying is very difficult to understand. However, the twofold is a truth that always appears to everyone, including the Bodhisattva Avalokya. If the twofold did not appear to the Bodhisattva Avalokya, he could not say form is emptiness, emptiness is form. It is possible to say that at the time of the Bodhisattva Avalokya, language did not go far enough to express the truth clearly. We can apply the meanings of form and emptiness in a different manner. However, we use form equals material with emptiness equals null and form equals thing with emptiness equals non-material. So the meaning of the saying becomes clear. If we understand emptiness as null, there is nothing, and apply it to both parts of the saying form is emptiness, emptiness is form, the saying is not difficult to understand. However, as D.T. Suzuki says, a great religion as Buddhism cannot be founded on emptiness as null. In other words, emptiness must indicate a reality. It is indeed so, emptiness as a reality always appears to man. In our daily side of a bridge are the side of wood, material, and the side of nothingness, non-material. The Buddha, like Confucius, Lao Tzu, and Jesus, moves in the twofold. But when nothingness is seen as a reality, people often tend to explain that nothingness is the absolute reality and nothingness gives birth to material too. Thus, nothingness or non-material is not only non-material but also material. Nothingness, emptiness, is the total reality. The bridge is one thing. If wood does not make the bridge and if nothingness makes the bridge, nothingness must make the total bridge, that is, it also makes wood in the bridge. Nothingness is total. But if we think so, we will lose the twofold. Nothingness is nothingness and wood is wood. Nothingness makes the bridge, but it does not make wood. Nothingness does not make wood, and moreover it needs the help of wood to make the bridge. At this point a question can be raised: so, what makes wood? The answer is, philosophy studies nothingness, it does not study wood. In other words, philosophy does not have an answer to that question. There is a traditional idea that philosophy is knowledge of all, philosophy is the answer to everything. It is not so. Philosophy knows nothingness. Regarding material, philosophy is very far away from physics. But regarding nothingness, no science can be compared to philosophy. It is often said that to see nothingness we need to have the eye of wisdom. Indeed, nothingness appears daily to everyone. A peasant daily sees the bridge. If the eye of wisdom is needed to see nothingness, we must say that everyone has the eye of wisdom. An ordinary person has also the eye of wisdom. However, the eye of wisdom has many different degrees. The work of the teaching is to make the eye of wisdom become clearer and clearer. The Indian thought presents a method to attain a clear eye of wisdom. We have the problem of language in this place. Language is often understood as the expression of a state of mind or of an idea inside man and is a means of communication between a person and a person. It seems that there is nothing wrong in this concept of language. However, at another point of view, language is the voice of the way, or being. We have the word nothing. Nothingness, which utters the emptiness or the non-essence of material as well as the non-material, the essence, the reality. Question: why does nothing have this role? Answer: it is such. The way, being, speaks to man like such. 3. The same is true of feeling, perception, formations, and consciousness. Regarding emptiness, feeling, perception, formations, and consciousness are not different from form. If they are feeling, perception, formations, and consciousness in the sphere of material, they are null. If they are feeling, perception, formations, and consciousness in the sphere of non-material, they are true. Not material but nothingness constitutes their essence. We can think that feeling, perception, formations, and consciousness are what we call spirit. And spirit is different from material. However, spirit of material is null, empty spirit. Spirit of nothingness is true spirit. So, the spirit which thinks material does not belong to the sphere of nothingness. The thoughts of this spirit are empty or null. If null, nihil, is understood as there is nothing concerning nothingness, the thoughts of this spirit are a nihilism. The 5 skandhas form, feeling, perception, formations, and consciousness, in the sphere of material, constitute man. Man who is attached to material is empty man. Man, who leaves the material shore and reaches the other shore, or the shore of nothingness, is true man. The Bodhisattva of Alakya puts the essence of man in his relation to nothingness. Existentialism puts the essence of man in his relation to the existing world or the material world. The Bodhisattva of Alakya puts the essence of man in his relation to nothingness. Existentialism does not see the twofold. The Bodhisattva of Alakya sees the twofold. Mencius says that without the way man is not far from animal. Here, Sariputra, all things are marked with emptiness. The Bodhisattva of Alakya leads Sariputra into the sphere of a reality named nothingness. Where is this nothingness? Nothingness does not lie in a mysterious place, it does not lie above the remote clouds. Nothingness lies right in things. He says that all things are marked with emptiness. This saying speaks that nothingness appears in things and makes things. It is not material that makes things, but it is nothingness that makes things. Let us read a chapter in Lao Tzu's Tao Te Ching. 30 spokes converge upon one hub, but it is the center hole that is the use of the cart. We shape a lump of clay into a vessel, but it is the empty space within the vessel that is its use. We make doors and windows for a chamber, but it is the empty space within it that is its use. Thus, while the beings are profitable, the non-being is useful. It is the use that makes a hub be a hub, a vessel be a vessel, and a chamber be a chamber. And the use is the center hole, the empty space, and the empty space, or, in a word, nothingness. So, nothingness, and not material, constitutes the essence of a thing. But the beings, 30 spokes, a lump of clay, doors, and windows, are needed, profitable, in the making of a hub, a vessel, and a chamber. They are neither born nor destroyed, neither defiled, nor immaculate, neither increasing nor decreasing. Talking about born, destroyed, defiled, immaculate, increasing and decreasing is talking about material in things. If we talk about nothingness in things, there is neither born nor destroyed, neither defiled, nor immaculate, neither increasing nor decreasing. Because nothingness is the essential part that makes a thing, we can say that a thing is neither born nor destroyed, neither defiled, nor immaculate, neither increasing nor decreasing. Please take note that, regarding the material aspect, a thing is born, destroyed, defiled, immaculate, increasing and decreasing. Therefore, in emptiness there is no form, there is no feeling, no perception, no formations, no consciousness. In the sphere of nothingness there is no form understood as material, and there is no feeling, no perception, no formations, no consciousness of material. The Bodhisattva of Alakya, after having gone to the other shore, sees that nothingness and material are two different realities. He does not see nothingness is total, including material. In nothingness there is not anything concerning material. If he saw nothingness is total, he had to say that in nothingness are form, feeling, perception, formations, and consciousness. So in emptiness, there is no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, there is no color, no sound, no smell, no taste, no touch, no object, no realm of vision, and so forth, till we come to no realm of consciousness. There is no ignorance, and no end of it, there is no aging, no death, and no end of them, there is no suffering, no origination, no extinction, no path, there is no wisdom, no attainment. Eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and mind belong to the sphere of material. Mind here is mind of material and of object derived from material. Color, sound, smell, taste, touch and object belong to the sphere of material. Object is understood as object derived from material or object of mind, mental object. Vision is vision of something, and consciousness is consciousness of something. Something here means a material thing. But if nothingness is a reality, why can we not talk about vision of nothingness and consciousness of nothingness? Talking about vision and consciousness is talking about a self, ego, or person. A self or person has vision or consciousness. A self or person is made up of the five skandhas or form, feeling, perception, formations, and consciousness. In nothingness there are no five skandhas. So, in nothingness there is no material self. If there is no self, there is no vision and no consciousness. Therefore, when we say that in nothingness there is no vision and no consciousness, we must understand that there is no vision and consciousness of material, and there is no self, no five skandhas, which has vision and consciousness. But there is the self as place of the appearance of nothingness. However, this is a different self, and this self can be called non-self. If self is the name of a person in the material sphere, non-self can be chosen to be the name of a person, or a non-person, in the sphere of nothingness. When we talk about ignorance and the end of it, our view is taken from a self or person. Because in the sphere of nothingness there is no self, there is no ignorance and no end of it. Aging and death speak of a material thing. In the sphere of nothingness there is no aging and no death. We can also say that aging and death talk of a self. Because in the sphere of nothingness there is no self, there is no aging and no death. Ignorance and aging/death are the first and last causes and effects of 12 causes and effects in the doctrine of dependent origination. 12 causes and effects are ignorance, formations, consciousness, mentality, and materiality. 6 sense bases: touch, feeling, craving, clinging, becoming, birth, aging, and death. Because in the sphere of nothingness there is no self, there are no 12 causes and effects. Suffering, origination, extinction, path are the Four Noble Truths. Because in the sphere of nothingness there is no self, there is no suffering, no origination, no extinction, no path. There is not even wisdom and attainment. Because in the sphere of nothingness there is no self, there is no wisdom and no attainment. If there is nobody, how can we talk about wisdom and attainment? All things like form, feeling, perception, formations, consciousness, like eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind, like color, sound, smell, taste, touch, object, like vision, consciousness, like 12 causes and effects, like Four Noble Truths, like wisdom, attainment, are on the sphere of material and person. They have nothing concerning the sphere of nothingness. The sphere of nothingness is beyond those discussions. But that does not mean that those discussions are of no value. The Buddha always taught them. If they had not had any value, why did the Buddha teach them? They are very valuable, but their value resides in the sphere of material. The sphere of nothingness is another reality. We should not take those discussions as discussions of the sphere of nothingness. However, those discussions can help us on the way to the sphere of nothingness. The Buddha said that his words are like the finger pointing to the moon. The finger or the discussions of the material world are not the moon or the sphere of nothingness, but that is the finger pointing to the moon. Because there is no attainment, the mind of the Bodhisattva, who dwells upon the gone to the other shore wisdom, finds no obstacles. Attainment is reaching. When we talk about reaching, we think about what is reached. But nothingness is not something that can be reached. When we talk about reaching, we think about person who reaches. But in nothingness there is no person. That is the reason why we can say, there is no attainment. If there is no attainment, what else is to be done? The truth life is an ocean of suffering is still there, the Four Noble Truths are still there. So, gone to the other shore wisdom must be followed. Why? Because it leads us to pass beyond the ocean of suffering and the shore of ignorance. And when we are out of the ocean of suffering and the shore of ignorance, there is nothing for us to attain. The way of gone to the other shore wisdom is the way of no obstacles. An obstacle is built up by material. If we are still attached to the material world, including the self, we still meet obstacles. Gone to the other shore wisdom sees that the sphere of nothingness is the truth, the place of no ocean of suffering and no shore of ignorance. If the ocean of suffering and the shore of ignorance belong to the attachment to the material world, in the sphere of nothingness there is no material world, including the self. If there is no self, there is nobody to be sunk in the ocean of suffering and the shore of ignorance. And we should add that if there is no self, there is nobody to be in the sphere of nothingness. That is the reason why we can say that there is the sphere of nothingness, but there is nobody entering it. Whoever thinks that he enters the sphere of nothingness has not entered it yet. Without obstacles, he overcomes fear, goes far away from delusion and reaches nirvana. Fear and delusion belong to the material world. In the sphere of nothingness there is no fear and no delusion. Why? Because it is such. We can also say, in the sphere of nothingness there is no self. If there is no self, there is nobody to be afraid and delusion. Fear. In the material world a person has all kinds of fear for his self. Delusion. The main delusion is the delusion that material, wood, makes a thing, bridge, ignorance that it is nothingness that makes a thing. Nirvana is cessation of suffering. There is nobody to suffer. Cessation of suffering is bliss. We can raise this question, if there is nobody, who has bliss? The answer is, no, suffering does not need a place for its appearance, but bliss needs a place for its appearance, and this place is a person or mind. But when we say so, is it not that we accept that there is who? Indeed, there are two different whos. Who of suffering is who that is attached to the material world, and who of bliss is who that is liberated from the material world and enters the sphere of nothingness. Who of suffering is an individual who. Who of bliss is who sinking and dispersing into the infinite sphere, and thus it can be said that there is no who in the common meaning. Therefore, the Buddha says that there is no self in the sphere of nothingness. According to Hinduism, Atman is harmonized in Brahman and there is no individual self. Indeed, what we have just discussed appears hard to understand, dark. That is the limit of language. We hope that someday we can welcome a language which is able to speak about the other shore in a clearer manner. All the Buddhas of the past, present and future, dwelling upon the gone to the other shore wisdom, arrive at the supreme perfect enlightenment. Whoever dwells upon the gone to the other shore wisdom is a Buddha. The other shore is the sphere of nothingness. It is in the sphere of nothingness that a thing appears as a true thing, a bridge appears as a bridge, and man appears as man. The sphere of nothingness is the place of the truth. The place of the truth is the abode of enlightenment. There is no place higher than it. Therefore, it is supreme enlightenment. There is no place more complete than it. Therefore, it is perfect enlightenment. Therefore, one should know that the gone to the other shore wisdom is the great mantra, the highest mantra, the unequaled mantra, the destroyer of all suffering, the truth without falsehood. The mantra of the gone to the other shore wisdom runs, gone, gone, gone to the other shore, landed on the other shore, perfect enlightenment. Mantra is a word or some words speaking up the truth to guide and protect the mind. The mantra is the word of the truth. The great mantra is used to emphasize the wonderful truth of the word. The gone to the other shore wisdom is the great mantra because it speaks of the wonderful truth. It tells us to leave the material world behind and reach the other shore of non-material. Material we see daily, so it may be described as ordinary. Non-material we do not see daily, so it may be described as non-ordinary or wonderful. Wonderful is great. The great mantra expresses a mysterious power. The great mantra has a mysterious power to drive people into the sphere it points to. Great and mysterious denote the other shore, the material shore is small and evident. The gone to the other shore wisdom is the great mantra. It is also highest mantra. Highest is wisest. Highest is also on the very top, no other mantra is above it. It is also the unequaled mantra, no other mantra is equal to it. Gone to the other shore is the only way to attain the supreme perfect enlightenment. There are only two realities, material and nothingness. Material is the ocean of suffering, nothingness is nirvana, there is no other place to go to. Nothingness is the sphere of non-suffering, the sphere of truth and no ignorance. Therefore, we should repeat daily, especially when we feel suffering, the mantra gone, gone, gone to the other shore, landed on the other shore, perfect enlightenment. We should remind us daily of landed on the other shore, perfect enlightenment. Whoever feels suffering should go to the other shore, suffering will take its wings and fly away, as lightly as dew in the sunshine at dawn. It is so easy, but it is the utmost truth. The kingdom of heaven of Jesus is also the other shore. Jesus says the same thing as the Buddha. Gone to the other shore is entering into the kingdom of heaven, nirvana is paradise, cessation of ignorance is abandoning of sin, perfect enlightenment is salvation. Last words of the interpretation. The Gone to the Other Shore Wisdom Sutra aims at the cessation of suffering. The three main sorrow are aging, sickness, and death. These three sufferings belong to the human body. The body is the self of a man. Of course, a man has his spiritual part. But his body always asks for service. It is hungry and thirsty if it lacks food and water. Even with food and water, it will, by the course of time, become old, ill and dead. Those are the three sufferings from which men cannot escape. What does a man seek for his life? He pursues a peaceful dwelling or happiness. He looks for a peaceful dwelling or happiness right in his daily life. In his daily life, find a lot of joys as well as a lot of sorrows. Particularly he has to cope with the three above-mentioned sorrows, aging, illness, and death. It seems that there is no way for him to escape from them. The Buddha has found a way to eliminate suffering and particularly those three sufferings. He has discovered the doctrine of no self. No self has become a fundamental concept in Buddhism. The concept of no self meets the obstacle of acceptance because everybody finds that he has his self. So how to interpret the doctrine of no self of the Buddha, because how can he give a teaching that is hard to accept? With the non-self, the Buddha aims to say that there is no peaceful self in the human daily self. The daily self is not a peaceful self. So, the doctrine of no self teaches that do not seek a peaceful self in a daily self. Where is a peaceful self? According to the Buddha, a peaceful self lies on the other shore. The Eightfold Way leads to the other shore. So, there is the self on the other shore, and it is the peaceful self, and there is the self on this shore, and it is the sorrowful self. On this shore or the shore of ignorance there is no peaceful self, there is only the sorrowful self. On the other shore or the shore of enlightenment, there is no sorrowful self, there is only peaceful self. So, no self is no peaceful self on the shore of ignorance and no sorrowful self on the shore of enlightenment. So, by what does the Wisdom Sutra say that there is no ignorance, and no end of it, there is no wisdom, no attainment? Does the Buddha not teach to lead us from ignorance to enlightenment? The Wisdom Sutra is a sutra of Mahayana Buddhism. It relates the dialogue between the Bodhisattva Avalokita and Sariputra. We can say that the Bodhisattva Avalokita plays the role of the Buddha. Indeed, this sutra, and also many other sutras of Mahayana Buddhism, were written by high monks after the Buddha's passing away. But the sutras are counted as the Buddha's teachings. These sutras aim at the communication of the Buddha's teachings. However, the authors of the sutras may lead the Buddha's thought into new horizons. Gone to the Other Shore is the Buddha's teaching. The Wisdom Sutra says clearly about gone to the other shore. But if gone is gone to the limit of there is no ignorance, and no end of it, there is no wisdom, no attainment, there is no shore of ignorance and there is no shore of enlightenment, and so there is no gone to the other shore. Saying that with enlightenment there is no self is hard to understand. After reaching the supreme perfect enlightenment, the Buddha put on his robe, took the bowl, went and begged for food, instructed the Bodhisattvas. If there was no self which was called the Buddha, who begged for food, who instructed the Bodhisattvas? If there is no ignorance and no end of it, no wisdom and no attainment, how could the Buddha preach? What is gone to the other shore for? Why are there two shores? The Buddha talks about no self or non-self in his second sermon, the characteristic of no self. A person is composed of five aggregates: body, form, feeling, perception, and consciousness. The characteristic of no self says that, 1. A person cannot control those five aggregates. I cannot tell my body to be thus and thus, to be no more afflicted. So, the body is not myself. 2. The 5 aggregates are impermanent. The body is impermanent. What is impermanent is sad, it cannot be always joyful. So, it is not reasonable for me to consider the body myself, if I want to be always joyful. That is the doctrine of no self of the Buddha. The 5 aggregates belong to the material shore. The Buddha teaches us not to seek the self on this shore. Therefore, if we interpret that the no self as including no self on the other shore, we are in danger to go far away from the Buddha's teaching. The characteristic of no self does not say there is no self on the other shore. If the concept of no self is applied only for this shore, it is easy to understand, it is clearer, and it is not an obstacle to the journey to the way. There is ignorance and there is the end of it, there is wisdom, there is attainment. There is gone to the other shore, landed on the other shore, perfect enlightenment. It may be good to say a little more. No self says, don't look for self on this shore, look for it on the other shore. Indeed, there is the ignorant self on this shore and there is the enlightened self on the other shore. The enlightened self has thrown away the ignorant self or has realized no ignorant self. Why is it possible to say that there is no ignorance and there is no end of it, there is no wisdom, there is no attainment? 1. First of all, there is the interpretation that there is no self on this shore as well as on the other shore. If there is no self, that there is no ignorance and there is no end of it, there is no wisdom, there is no attainment. 2. Secondly, there is the interpretation that it is such because the enlightened man has immersed into the totality. This totality combines all things and there is no distinction between ignorance and enlightenment. There is nothing to be sorrowful for and there is nothing to be joyful for. Mind becomes calm, wandering freely on the course of life. Chuang-Tzu has the same idea. The totality combines all, no distinction between right and wrong, good and evil. All things are equal. With such view, man is not hateful or angry with what is ordinarily considered contrary to his mind or evil. Chuang-Tzu talks about the way as nature and nature as the totality. There is a free wandering in the realm of nature. Chuang-Tzu is often interpreted as a follower of Lao Tzu. Lao Tzu talks about the way as nature, but he does not say nature as the totality. He says very clearly about the twofold, doors and windows do not make a house, it is the nothing in the house that makes a house. Moreover, it is the wish for a peaceful dwelling, not the totality, that is naturally in man. Naturally, man does not know the totality. Confucius talks about rest on perfect goodness. Perfect goodness is needful for rest and perfect goodness harbors the distinction between good and evil. 3. Thirdly, it is also able to interpret that when a man has reached the other shore, he feels light, calm, free, like there is no self. When there is still distinction between ignorance and enlightenment, there is no total freedom. We should remember that enlightenment has many different degrees because, as Confucius remarks, even a sage cannot know all about the way. If a man has experienced that no self on both shores brings a peaceful dwelling, such a concept is not an obstacle to the journey to the way. Living without a self, without worry about good and evil, without attention to life and death, without thinking about the next life, could grant peace. But man is a social living being, that means he lives with other men. If he does not know evil and avoid it, he can cause damages to the peaceful dwelling of other men. If nobody avoids evil, what is the situation of society? If there is no distinction between good and evil, are there still punishments for crimes? So, no self on both shores can be applied so that a man is not hateful with the evil acts others commit, and it is not applied so that he can commit evil acts, and especially it is not applied for punishments for crimes. According to the middle way, there is this shore and there is the other shore. but with the attainment, this shore harbors the other shore. The body must exist, but now it is the body that takes the way and is the place of the appearance of the way. Man needs food and water to live, but not because of food and water he commits evil acts that damage his peaceful dwelling and others' peaceful dwelling. The way exists only when men realize it. The way is the way of each person. If we love the way, the spread of the way is a task of each person. Can we spread the way without knowing the difference between ignorance and enlightenment? An enlightened man is he who knows an ignorant man. An ignorant man himself does not know he himself is ignorant.